What's up, Pickle Brains? This week we're together and we're talking about a situation in which you should almost always attack. Also, I'm going to talk about something that I learned from Austin today, playing against him. So stick around. Let's talk about that first.
Okay.
So Austin doesn't know what this is, but something that I learned today. I don't play super often. Austin was nice enough to play against me today. He may have destroyed me. We may have some video footage of it, but that's okay. But something that I learned, you've changed something in your game. You've changed a lot of things in your game, and all of them have been for the better. But one thing I noticed specifically is my team is serving, and I'm making my way up to the net. Usually, I feel your constant pressure as I'm trying to make my way up to the net, okay, which I did feel today at times, but I know sometimes when I'm playing you and I'm working my way up to the net, if I give you like a floater drop or something that you can attack, usually you will attack that ball. And so I'm making my way up ready for the counterattack. Okay. You know what I mean? And it's usually somewhere in an awkward spot on my body, and so I want to be able to attack that. I know that I've hit somewhat of a bad drop, or maybe it's just bouncing a little bit high, and you will attack that. But today, as I was bringing myself up ready for you to hit it in an awkward position, whether it's my right hip or my shoulder or whatever it was, I noticed today you did a lot of redirects instead.
We got to post a video of the one. The one was the most funny thing I've ever seen in my life. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, explain it to them.
So I don't know what happened. Spencer will have to explain it, honestly, but what happened?
Because I'm so used to you attacking.
I was going to attack. The ball was probably below the net, but I'll usually flick it up from there. And I just did a small flick and put it at his feet. And then what happened?
And I was ready for the attack.
He was ready for an attack.
And so even before you swung, I was up here ready for the attack. And then the ball came at my feet with not a lot of pace, really, a little bit of
just
pace.
Spin.
And so I couldn't decide what I was going to do. And then my paddle ended up dragging, just hitting the ground and almost missing the ball. And then attacking from the ground. Literally, my paddle hit the ground and I attacked. Don't ever do this, whoever's watching or listening. But
we'll post it on the story. We have to post this on the story.
Yeah, we'll
not on a reel because nobody deserves that. The ball went under the net. That should count, by the way. That should be a rule.
But yeah, it was a very strange situation. I'm sure this happens to a lot of people, and usually it's at the baseline. Sometimes, and I know you've had this happen to you, I can't decide between a drop and a drive. And then by the time the ball gets to me, it's too late.
Yeah.
And then you do this kind of awkward thing where oh man, I was going to drop it and I decided to drive, or I was going to drive it, I decided to drop it and then I miss. It was kind of that situation, but on the net.
When it's fast.
Yeah, my paddle happened to hit the ground, but that's why I was ready for you to attack. But instead, in a lot of situations today, you were redirecting the ball, still with a little bit of pace, but away from me. And for me, that was such a harder shot. You would just put it at an angle somewhere, and for some reason, I couldn't get to that because I'm way up here and I'm ready for the attack, and all of a sudden the ball was behind me. So do you know when you switched that in your game, or did that just happen subconsciously?
I don't know. It just happened subconsciously, honestly. I was attacking way too much. I guess it did happen pretty recently, but I was attacking way too much on the backhand, doing flicks way below the net. And everybody in St. George knows my game. I like to go down the line a lot. I like to get it at the right shoulder a lot, essentially.
Yeah.
And I really like to utilize lines. So I'll reach in on the forehand side or the backhand side and go down the line because nobody else does. Catches people off guard, but everybody that's in my town knows that I do that. So I definitely started utilizing angles and just putting a ton of spin on the ball and putting it at people's feet and putting it behind them. And also when I'm attacking, I'll go more towards the middle a lot of the time, or more towards the left shoulder because they're expecting it at the right majority of the time. So yeah, I changed that pretty recently, but trying to just, I want to set up a better kill shot. But that doesn't mean that if I get a high ball, like these aren't necessarily high balls that you're referring to. Because if I get an overhead that I can hit, I'm putting that away. It's not even a question. But if it is, semi-low, I could attack, I could not. I'll typically just, try to put some spin on it and set myself up for a better attack.
Yeah.
Something I just remembered, we shouted out Christy Hardy on the pod. Didn't hear from her.
Didn't hear from her. So she's obviously not watching.
Yeah. She's giving up on us.
But we'll see again this week if she's watching.
But it was interesting because I actually attacked. So it was me and Hattie, who's my wife, versus Whitney and Spencer, who's Spencer's wife. And I attacked her right shoulder, and multiple times she was just there, and she just countered it perfectly. And so it's like even she knows that I go there.
Yeah, so something
and she doesn't even play that often.
Yeah, something we can learn from this is switching up your shots can definitely be helpful, especially if you're playing with people that you've played with more than once.
Don't be predictable.
And I actually like when you attack me, especially in rec play, because I like to work on my counter attacks. I want to try to attack that, but today you mixed it up. It wasn't that you never attacked me, but you mixed it up a little bit, and those redirects, especially with topspin and pace, kind of away from me, I was just not ready for, and those were the points that I lost.
It's impressive how little Spencer plays and how good he was. The only time that he struggled today was either when I slowed it down like that or when he was back on the baseline. But it's like he's playing maybe once a month, and that was all he was struggling with. Your hands were pretty freaking fast.
I thought you were going to say the only thing he's struggling with is everything.
No, you killed it. So, like, that's the thing. I feel like whenever I take time off, I'll come back and play so much better. I just went to Lake Powell for a week, and then I came back, and I feel like everything is a ton better except for my backhand, two-handed backhand, like, wasn't there at all. It's like I totally lost it. Everything else felt good.
Some things, but I do a lot better too. Even if I'm not playing often, I do a lot better if I'm watching.
Yes.
Play. Like, I'm a visual learner, and if I can watch, for some reason my muscles will want to mimic whatever it is they're doing. So I think that helps me quite a bit. But
Topic number 2 we were going to talk about is when to attack, how to know when you attack. This is something that I struggled with coming into pickleball from tennis. Other people will struggle with it just coming into pickleball after no racket background as well. Everybody will struggle with it at some point in your journey. And like, I still struggle with it sometimes where I should have attacked a ball, but at least I can recognize now that, hey, I should have attacked that ball. Whereas when you're a beginner or you're an intermediate player, you just don't even recognize that you should have attacked that ball.
Yeah.
Until someone puts their arm around your shoulder and says, you suck, essentially.
In a nice way.
Yeah. It just says, like, it's for tennis players coming in or people with paddle background, they attack way too much. They attack low balls way too much. They're just hitting, banging, banging. People without the tennis background, they're coming in, that have no background at all are coming in, and their main problem is that they're not attacking. They're dinking way too much because they were taught to dink. And so they come in, just think dink, 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 but they're not taking the opportunity. So let's talk a little bit about when are the opportunities to attack, when are the opportunities to dink, when are the opportunities to lob, when are the opportunities to be defensive versus offensive.
Okay, so before I lose this train of thought, as far as dinking goes, okay, the purpose of dinking, we've talked about this before on the pod. The purpose of dinking is to set yourself up to become offensive so that you have an opportunity to attack. And I think in the beginning that goes over a lot of people's heads, or it takes them a while to grasp that concept. So I think it is a good thing that when people come into the game, they're willing to listen and they're willing to learn. And they're saying, okay, other people are dinking, I'm going to dink. but not quite knowing why we dink.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking for that opportunity. So specifically, what another thing that I learned from you this week, and it was from one of your YouTube videos when you did an analysis of your match, you showed, hey, if you're getting a high ball at the net, let's attack that ball. Why are we not attacking that ball? We were just dinking back and forth for what seemed like 5 minutes. Maybe it was 30 seconds or whatever. And now you finally get a high ball. Why not attack that ball? Because that's the reason that we were dinking in the first place. So that one resonated with me for sure.
Whenever I think about that, you attack high balls and you don't attack low balls. Essentially, sometimes you can change it up. I think about my friend Eric Gubler, who's a former pro. Would be all the I've talked about him a lot in past pods, but really good player. And when I came into pickleball, he had already been playing for 10 years. I don't know how long, a long time.
Wow.
And I was like, man, I'm just struggling to know when to attack because I'm getting opportunities and then I don't notice until after. And he's like, I know how it is. You'll figure it out. And I think a lot of it just comes with time and experience and playing with better players and seeing when they attack versus when they reset.
Sure.
And something interesting is I played with this guy. His name's Nick Black. We just played some rec games warming up for that pro tournament. And I don't know what he is. He plays in every pro tournament. He travels. His girlfriend is Maggie Brasha. So he just plays and plays and plays and plays and plays. And it was interesting because I learned from Eric Gubler's partner, Mason Ford, from back in the day. Both these guys have been playing for forever. That you attack from mid-court, which is kind of foreign to a lot of people. Attacking from mid-court on a low ball. But it actually puts your opponents who are established at the kitchen, this is just another side tip, puts your opponents who are already established at the kitchen in a defensive position automatically if you can keep that attack low. And it doesn't have to be super low, but 3 inches above the net or lower, you're automatically going to put them on the defense, and then the next shot's usually a put away. And so I learned that from him because he takes these mid-court attacks. And I did that to this Nick Black guy. He'd never seen it before, even though he plays all these pro tournaments. He plays pro qualifiers, so he qualifies in some of them, doesn't qualify in others. That's how it's going to go, essentially. But he had never seen that. He's like, why are you attacking from mid-court? And he got really frustrated because we were winning. And I just kind of laughed, this guy doesn't even understand that, yet he plays all of these pro tournaments all the time. He's never even seen that. And I think people get this idea in their mind that when you're at mid-court, you're only resetting. And it's just not true. If you can keep that ball low enough, you can definitely speed up that ball. So that's another speed up opportunity, which is an interesting one that you don't really think about. But try it. Automatically puts your opponents on defense.
Yeah, I'm going to try that.
I like it. I like that one.
That'd be good.
And then we're not attacking balls that are not balls that are below the net. It's fine to attack balls that are below the net, but we don't want to attack balls that are below our knees. Generally, I feel like that's probably the best way to go. Don't attack balls that are below your knees until you get above a certain level. Then you can change things up and do kind of floater attacks and stuff like that go over shoulders and still land in. When you have that kind of talent, then you can start venturing into that. But if anything goes below your knees, don't attack it. Dink it. Try to take dinks out of the air, and it'll really, really help. So I'd say those are the 2 times. Want to make sure we're attacking balls that are high and then not attacking balls that are low. So that's the main thing.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you do get a higher or high-ish ball, I would say anything, regardless of the level that you're playing in, anything basically even with the net or above, we should be attacking that ball because that was our whole reason for dinking. That was our whole reason for driving or for dropping and getting our way to the net. That was the whole reason for us dinking is we were looking for a high ball. And I do see people that attack too much. So some of our viewers may say, oh, we can't be attacking every ball, But if you are getting that higher ball, focus on attacking that each time. Or like you said, reaching in the kitchen and being aggressive and getting in that offensive position if it is net-ish height or above. And I do like what you said too. Yeah, you can attack from other positions. You know, maybe a backhand roll, maybe a forehand roll from a little bit lower position. But if we want to be consistent and we want to get better, that comes later on.
Way later.
So
something that we didn't cover that we need to cover is we're speeding up, speed ups as well. Obviously, speed ups bounce a lot of the time, and you also can take them out of the air. But the time when you want to speed up the ball is typically when your opponents are back. If your opponents are back, you need to speed up that ball because they're back. They can't possibly be offensive from that position.
Yeah.
Of course, unless you leave it slightly high and then they can attack from midcourt, just like how we talked about. But if they're back, you know, they're behind the baseline or at least just in front of the baseline, got to speed up that ball and keep them back as much as possible. So that'd be the other time. But something that we should talk about in a future podcast is when to speed up, when everybody's all established at the kitchen. So if you guys want to hear about that, leave us a comment below and we'll make it happen.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's a lot of things that we can talk about with that.
Yeah, and then I would just suggest going out and drilling these couple of things that we talked about today. Maybe instead of attacking in certain situations, a nice redirect with some topspin would be good. I know that kind of somewhat goes against what we were talking about today, but we are talking about two different types of balls that we're receiving. But definitely when you're dinking at the kitchen, or like you said, when you're mid-court, if you get a high-ish ball, attack that ball.
Why do I have these on?
And bring it low.
I just noticed you don't, and I'm like, wait, he can hear me.
I think we're so used to doing it from a distance. You looked really cool with them on, though.
Oh, I look like a nerd.
So anyone that watched him wear those the entire pod today, make sure and grill him in the comments below. Other than that, you got anything else this week, Oz?
I'm extra special. Nope, that's it. Thanks for joining us. I hope that you guys enjoy us being together. I think it's a lot better.
Yeah, me too.
We're not talking over each other. It's just way more flowy and comfortable, and we can continue on a conversation, not fall asleep. So it's good.
See you next week.
Peace.